In 1795, the Naturalization Act restricted citizenship to, quote, free white persons who reside in the United States for 5 years and renounce their allegiance to their former country. So basically, come on over if you're from Western Europe and not a spy. In 1798, the Alien and Sedition Acts permitted the president to deport any foreigner deemed to be a dangerous alien and increased the residency requirement to 14 years. So basically, John Adams and his people were afraid of spies and also didn't want immigrants to vote for Jefferson. In 1848, approximately 80,000 Mexicans received citizenship after the Mexican-American War. However, if you were deemed to have too much Native American blood or you looked too Native American, you were not given citizenship. Many Mexican-American citizens would later lose their land and voting rights in the Jim Crow era. In 1870, the 14th Amendment and the revision to the Naturalization Act extended citizenship to white persons and persons of African descent, still leaving out people from various backgrounds and did not take into account Jim Crow. In 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act ended Chinese immigration altogether. This illustrated that many American whites were afraid that Chinese and other immigrants would take their jobs on the railroads and beyond. In 1892, Ellis Island opened and processed over 12 million immigrants in the next 30 years. At this time, big business was booming and many workers were needed for the large factories. In 1901, anarchists were banned because President McKinley was shot by one. In 1907, the Expatriation Act tried to decrease immigration by taking citizenship from any woman who married a non-citizen. In 1917, due to overflowing cities and less jobs, Congress added a literacy requirement of at least 40 words in some given language, and further prohibited Asian immigration from all countries other than Japan and the Philippines. In 1921 and 24, two immigration quotas targeted people from Eastern and Southern Europe due to the fear of the spread of socialism and communism, also known as the First Red Scare. In 1941, FDR placed over 100,000 people of Japanese descent, many of them American citizens, in internment camps after the attack at Pearl Harbor. They were not released until 1945. In 1943, the Chinese Exclusion Act was repealed. Also in 1943, the Bracero Program invited Mexican workers to come to the United States. This is also probably due to the labor shortage. In 1950, the Internal Security Act banned communists due to the Second Red Scare, also known as the Cold War. In 1965, the Immigration and Nationality Act killed the quota system of the 1920s. This led to a huge surge in illegal immigration from Latin America. In 1979, Carter banned Iranians who supported the Iranian Revolution after hostages were taken at the American Embassy. In 1986, the Immigration Reform and Control Act granted amnesty to about 3 million undocumented immigrants, but set out punishments for people who hire illegal immigrants. In 1987, the United States banned HIV-positive immigrants due to the rising fear of the AIDS epidemic. In 2012, the Obama administration passed a Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, also known as DACA. This allowed undocumented minors to receive work permits in hopes of a path to citizenship.